The rain drizzled softly over the narrow streets of downtown Willowbrook, wrapping the morning in a silver haze. The scent of freshly brewed coffee and baked pastries drifted out from a small corner cafe called Hazel Crème, a warm little place that had quietly become the heart of the neighborhood. Behind the counter, Hazel Carter tied her apron with practiced ease. Her light brown hair was tucked into a messy bun, a few strands brushing her cheeks as she moved. There was something gentle yet strong about her, a woman who had learned to smile even when her heart carried too much. At the corner table, a little girl hummed while coloring on a napkin. "Mommy, look, it's a cupcake with a crown," she said proudly, showing her drawing. Hazel laughed softly. "That's beautiful, sweetheart. Maybe one day you'll design the whole cafe for me." The girl beamed. Her name was Lily, 6 years old, full of sunshine, with big hazel eyes that mirrored her mother's. But what Hazel couldn't hide, no matter how much she tried, was that Lily's smile, her chin, and the sparkle in her eyes belonged to someone else. Someone Hazel had tried to forget. Someone who had once promised forever and then disappeared. Across the city, a black limousine pulled to a stop in front of a gleaming office tower. The man who stepped out looked every inch the billionaire the tabloids loved to write about, tall, poised, with sharp gray eyes and a commanding presence. Ethan Cole, CEO of Cole Industries, had everything: power, wealth, and fame. But behind his controlled exterior, there was a loneliness he never admitted. Today, though, he wasn't heading to another meeting. He had escaped the walls of his empire for the first time in months, following an impulse he couldn't explain. He was tired of the endless cycle: deals, conferences, fake smiles. He wanted quiet, something real. Driving through Willowbrook, a town he hadn't visited in years, a sign caught his attention: Hazel Crème, handcrafted coffee and love in every cup. Something about that name made his chest tighten. He almost told the driver to keep going, but curiosity won. "Stop here," he ordered. When Ethan stepped into the cafe, the bell above the door chimed softly. Warm light, laughter, the aroma of cinnamon and vanilla. It was the kind of peace he hadn't felt in years. Hazel didn't look up right away. She was arranging pastries on a tray. "Welcome to Hazel Crème. What can I?" Her voice broke. She froze. The tray slipped from her hands, pastries tumbling to the floor. He turned, and the years collapsed between them. "Hazel." She blinked, as if trying to make sense of the ghost standing in front of her. His hair was a little shorter, his jaw sharper, but those eyes, they were the same eyes she had once fallen in love with. "What are you doing here?" she whispered. "I didn't know this was your place," Ethan said quietly. "I was just passing by." Hazel forced a smile, masking the storm inside. "Well, congratulations. You've found it. Coffee." He hesitated, then nodded. "Black. No sugar." Her hand trembled as she poured the coffee, the same way she used to make it for him, years ago in that tiny apartment where they had dreamed about the future. But that future had shattered when he chose his ambition over her. While Ethan waited, a small figure wandered up to the counter, Lily, holding her drawing. She looked at Ethan curiously, her head tilted. "Hi. You look sad. Did you lose your puppy?" Ethan blinked, startled, then smiled despite himself. "No, I didn't. I guess I just found something unexpected." Hazel's heart clenched. She quickly came around the counter. "Lily, sweetheart, go finish your drawing." But Lily wasn't done. Her eyes flickered between Ethan and her mother, something lighting up in her expression. "Mommy," she said innocently, "he has eyes like mine." The cafe went silent. Hazel's breath caught. Ethan's cup froze halfway to his lips. "What did you say?" he asked softly. Lily smiled, oblivious to the storm her words had unleashed. "You have the same eyes as me. Mommy says I got them from someone special. Are you special too?" Ethan turned to Hazel, his voice low and trembling. "Hazel, what's going on?" Hazel swallowed hard. Her mind raced, her heart pounding. She had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, what she'd say if he ever came back, but now, every word vanished. "Please," she whispered, "not here." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then tell me where." They sat in the quiet of the closed cafe that evening, after Lily had gone home with Hazel's friend. Outside, the rain had returned, soft, steady, relentless. Ethan spoke first. "She's mine, isn't she?" Hazel didn't answer. She stared at the floor, fingers tightening around her mug. "Hazel, look at me." When she did, her eyes were wet with anger and sorrow. You left, Ethan. You walked away without a word. I called, I wrote, I begged for an answer, and you vanished. I was pregnant and alone. What did you expect me to do? Ethan's jaw clenched. I didn't know. Your father told me you'd moved on. He said you wanted nothing to do with me. She let out a bitter laugh. My father. He hated you. He thought I deserved someone with less chaos. For a moment, the silence was unbearable. I would have come back, Ethan said, voice breaking. If I'd known about her. Hazel's tears fell. But you didn't. You built your empire while I built a life for her. And I won't let you destroy it now. Ethan stood, pacing. I'm not trying to destroy anything. I just want to know her. Please. She looked at him, torn between the man who had broken her heart and the father her daughter deserved. Finally, she whispered, one step at a time. Over the next few weeks, Ethan became a quiet presence in the cafe. He'd arrive early, help Hazel set up tables, and spend time with Lily, reading stories, helping with homework, even learning how to bake cupcakes. Lily adored him. Mommy, Mr. Ethan is funny. He makes the best silly faces. Hazel watched from afar, her chest tightening with every laugh, every shared glance. She saw the way Lily's small hand fit perfectly in Ethan's, and how Ethan's cold, guarded world slowly melted each time his daughter smiled. But there was fear too. The past still lingered, the betrayal, the abandonment. Then came the night everything changed. A tabloid photographer snapped a picture, Ethan in Hazel's cafe, holding Lily's hand. By morning, the headlines screamed, Ethan Cole's secret family. The cafe was flooded with reporters. Hazel's phone wouldn't stop ringing. She confronted him, furious. You said no one would find out. I didn't tell anyone. He insisted. I swear, Hazel, I was careful. But you weren't careful enough, she shot back. Now she's all over the internet, my daughter, our private life, for the world to judge. Ethan reached for her hand. Let me fix this. She pulled away. You can't fix everything with money, Ethan. Some things require heart, something you lost a long time ago. Her words hit harder than any corporate defeat ever had. That night, Hazel locked the cafe early and cried behind the counter, while across town, Ethan sat alone in his penthouse, staring at the photo of Lily taped to his phone screen. The next morning, the cafe was eerily quiet. Ethan walked in without his usual suit, just a simple sweater, tired eyes, and humility that hadn't been there before. He went to Hazel, who was wiping down the counter. I made a statement, he said quietly. I told the press that Lily's off limits, that anyone who tries to invade her privacy will deal with me personally. I shut down 3 magazines already. Hazel looked up, surprised. Why? Because she deserves better, he said simply. You both do. There was silence. Then, for the first time in years, Hazel saw the man she had loved. Not the CEO, but Ethan, the dreamer who used to hold her under starlit skies. Maybe you haven't changed as much as I thought, she whispered. He smiled faintly. Maybe I finally changed in the right way. Weeks turned into months. The cafe thrived again. Reporters lost interest. Ethan became part of their small world. Not as the powerful CEO, but as a father learning to braid his daughter's hair and a man learning how to love without control. One winter evening, Lily stood on a stool, icing cupcakes while Ethan helped. Daddy, she said suddenly, her voice small but sure, are you gonna stay this time? Hazel froze. Ethan looked down, his throat tight. He knelt beside her. Yes, sweetheart, I'm never leaving again. Lily grinned and hugged him, frosting smearing his shirt. Hazel laughed through tears, the sound of healing. For the first time, all 3 of them stood together behind the counter, laughter echoing against the walls of Hazel and cream. Outside, snow began to fall, white, quiet, pure. Ethan turned to Hazel, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I've built empires, he said softly, but nothing compares to this. She smiled. Then don't ever let it go. He kissed her forehead, a promise, this time unbroken. A year later, the cafe had a new sign, Hazel and Cream, a family brew. Ethan still ran his company, but every morning, before the meetings and the mergers, he'd stop by the cafe, coffee in one hand, Lily's lunchbox in the other. And every time the doorbell chimed, Hazel's heart still skipped, not out of fear anymore, but love renewed. Because sometimes, life doesn't give you second chances. But when it does, it's up to you to take them.